Blazing the steel. Bring the heat. Mix it non-stop. With the hottest DJ.
I'm your host, Joshua Diaz.
Non-stop.
There is no investigation. This boy has.
There is not. Really? It is to me.
Don't say any F's and stuff.
But I had to put her on the side and where
I'm gonna do what I gotta do for me and my boys and my kids.
Don't say any F's and stuff.
There is no investigation. This boy
There
has.
is not. Really? It is to me. Right. Idiot.
I've done my best. It's hard, that's real tough.
But I had to put her on the side and where with the boys.
I'm gonna do what I gotta do for me and my boys and my kids.
Don't say any F's and stuff.
Live from the NBD Production Studios, you're in the lab with your host, Joshua Diaz.
There is no investigation. This boy has.
There is not. Really? It is to me. But I had to put her on the side and where with the boys. But I had to.
There is no investigation.
Don't say any F's and stuff.
What's going on, everybody? How you doing tonight? Good to see you. Good to be here,
But I had
as
to put
always.
her. But I had to put her
What is up?
on the side and where with the boys.
All right, Friday Eve. Happy Friday Eve to all of you out there. I know you're excited about that. And if you came here to sleep, don't do it. Wake up
Let's go.
and enjoy the show. If you must fall asleep, I wish you a lovely evening, but there's no rest for the wicked over this way. And we have a lot of things to talk about. It's going to be an interesting show. As usual, please hit the like button on the way in. If you somehow can't, I won't understand. So I'm going to need you to just do it. I mean, that's just the long and short of everything. Please hit the like button. Yeah, no sleepies. No sleepies, only wakies. Wakies. What a day. A lot is happening with cases, and let's just I'm not even gonna pussyfoot around the situation. You know what I mean? Like it warrants talking about, and I don't even personally need to address it. The Chatham County Police themselves have said now, with what they consider heckling and what some people consider protesting. I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't really care what it's called. Tanya just got off work and she's super awake, and I love that. Let's see. Amy. I'm awake. Oh, don't be grumpy. There's no reason to be grumpy. We're all in this together. there was an arrest today of a YouTuber, and YouTubers get arrested all the time. And once again, I'm not just talking about this community because I don't care. Because I don't think it's actually a community. I think that, people cover a lot of the same stuff, but it's not a community by any stretch of the imagination. It's more battle royale, blood sport, over the top, theatrics, the list goes on and on and on. And by the way, I want to say, because I know Texas is in the house tonight, go Astros. Congratulations on the win. Yeah. Yeah, this is good. Most YouTubers are on the no-fly list. It says here. Oh, yeah, this channel is a community. The people that are here are part of a community. 50 plus fighter jets just roared. Yeah, that's going to be loud. Little bits in the house. Go Tennessee, Texas, guns blaring. Awesome. Awesome. So we all know who got arrested today. I'm not here to bash anybody. I'm not here to say anything negative, but I am going to give my opinion on it because I have one, and I have a show, and it's pertinent to the show, and because Quentin Simon is a case that we cover, so we're going to cover it. Many of the people, this is a release by the Chatham County Police Department, okay? CCPD, not to be mistaken with the YMCA or USDA or I don't know. Whatever. What do you mean who? Come on now. Yeah, anyway. YouTubers, that I plead the fifth. Yes, Dolly got arrested. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. So I'm not talking about that. What I want to talk about, well, I am going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about what the Chatham County Police have to say about this. This is the quote from the police chief. Many of the Many of the people claiming to want justice for Quentin have turned his tragic and heartbreaking case into a money-making circus. This is unacceptable and has to stop. I'm confused as to, first of all, the Chatham County Police are saying that, what they're doing is a money-making scheme. It's not really for Quentin, and how he would know that they were making money. I mean, I guess that's something that's been talked about. But yeah, it's definitely lucrative for them. And if it just is. I mean, let's not pretend, because there's no reason to pretend that as a magnanimous gesture that people go to, I'm sure there's a couple, maybe, I don't know. I just don't think that you can head on down to Georgia, act that way, the way that and this isn't directed at the Dolly situation. I'm talking about the hecklers. The Dolly situation is straightforward. You cannot, whether or not you hit somebody or not, you can't take something out of somebody's hand and either smash it, take it, whatever. You're not allowed to do that. It's an arrestable offense in all 50 states. It will get you arrested in all 50 states. And it's going to get you arrested in Georgia, especially when the police department doesn't like you. It's simple battery. That's what it is. It's just that plain and simple. It shouldn't happen. It shouldn't have happened. It happened. You get arrested. And there it is. It's really a simple thing to understand. There's not much to discuss there. Just taking something out of somebody's hand that's not yours and either breaking or just smacking something out of somebody's hand, or you don't even have to touch their hand. You don't even have to touch them at all. You don't have to touch them. You don't have to bump them, push them. You don't have to do nothing. If you, for some reason, feel the need to rip something from somebody's hands, whether it be a cell phone, a camera, a bullhorn, whatever, it's going to get you arrested. That's just how it is. All right. And that doesn't, to me, that has nothing to do with the actual protest or whatever, but you just can't do it. You can't do it. You're just not allowed to. It's just how it is. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. What I expect people to come out and say after this is things like, and by the way, once again, I'm not, none of this is drama related, but I just, what he'll do, or the whole thing will be, I didn't touch her, and all that is probably true. I saw the video. It doesn't seem like he touched her, and that'll be his defense. I didn't touch her. I didn't actually assault her. Whatever. And it won't matter because we don't get to make the laws. But after that happened, then they say, to leave the property or whatever, the street. So they go down to the Chatham County Police Department. Not one thing that's been done in Georgia has helped bring a resolution or answers to Quentin's case. It just hasn't. Matter of fact, it has done the opposite. I'm not going to talk about people's intentions. I'm not going to talk about people's, I don't know people's intentions, and I'm not going to go through the list. I don't know these people personally. I've been on Dolly's show a couple times, talked about the Summer Wells case, and I think the Kylie Rodney case, and it was, it was fine. It was amicable. I don't know if it was my crowd or not, but I didn't really pay attention to that. So, I don't know them. I, vaguely watch some of the stuff that they do. I'm sure they vaguely watch some of the stuff that I do. Maybe not, and that's okay. There are people that say, people like me, who cover these cases. I've been called a quote unquote tragedy pimp. Certain things like that. And, I just don't see it that way, because if I did see it that way, I wouldn't do it. The reason I don't really see it that way is, tragedy is inevitable. It happens. And sometimes people that have had tragedies in their life or are sympathetic to others, somehow, some way, we all kind of feel better talking to each other and getting it out. Because these tragedies happen no matter what. You know, they're still going to be there. Hey, Josh, did you give up sleeping? No, I'm just sleeping at different times. Thank you, Def Jackson. Sleeping at different times. That's it. And thank you so much. So I understand people's criticism and reservations and whatever. And by the way, the people that typically call people like me or whoever that watch incessantly, they watch incessantly. And like I said, I just don't see it that way. Now, going on location, interfering with a police investigation, disturbing the peace, things like that. They claim that that's not what they're doing. That's not true. It's just not true. It is disturbing the peace. It's taking up resources. And the biggest point of this whole thing, and, you know, God bless them if they want to challenge me on it. And if they get mad at me for saying this, I'm not saying anything mean. I'm telling you how it is. There has not been one thing done that has helped anything in this case. Not one single thing. None. You know, not one thing. And there's nothing that you can say that's going to change that fact. It's not actually helping. It's self-fulfilling. It's financially beneficial. You don't have to lie to kick it. We know. We know. It sucks, you know, and it's just not, it doesn't help. There's not one thing that's been done, and I haven't helped either. All I've done is talk about it. I'm not criticizing people for not helping, but I really don't want to hinder either. I don't want to hinder. You know, it's just not helpful, and for anybody to pretend that it is, you know, it may make you feel better. I'm guessing that's part of the goal here, that it makes you feel better, and that, you know, that's something that you feel that you're doing, and you're putting pressure on the police department, so on and so forth. You know. I mean, I just completely disagree. Completely disagree. I don't know what progress has been made. What progress has been made? I just don't see it that. I just don't. You're not going to convince me of it either. Nah, cheek pinching grannies, you know, it's just, it's all good. It's just not, it's not helpful. It's just not helpful. So that's my one, and that, and, you know, pissing off the neighbors and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, it kind of takes away from talking about the case, and but, you know, everybody's got the right to do what they want, and you know, if the law doesn't like it, you know, they have the right to, if it's breaking a law, then fine. It doesn't matter. Like I said, it's not personal. This rant isn't personal towards anybody. It's just the way it is. I'm not going to pretend that what's going on is something different than it is, because it's not. You know, I know antics when I see them. I'm not blind. I know sensationalism when I see it. And we all want to feel like we're helping in some way, shape, or form. We all want to feel that way. But we're not, you know, it's just not helpful. I just, but the question is, would that same progress still have been made without the performance? In my opinion, yes, it would have. Well, I mean, first and foremost, I don't know what progress has been made. The progress will be when there is an arrest and hopefully Quentin found. That's what I think is progress. And all that would happen without one single person standing in front of the house. It just would. It probably go faster, because the two policemen that were patrolling today could have been probably doing something else that somebody else had to stop. And I think like 5 people now have been arrested. It's shades of Casey Anthony. I remember there were people with signs. They'd walk up and George would take their signs and snap it over his knee like it was nothing. Bam. You know what I mean? Bam. I don't, first of all, I'm not that young. Second of all, it's just, it's not going to help. It's just not. I'm not going to see any, I appreciate that, but it just, I'm going to be 37. I'm kind of old. Unfortunately, we have seen this story so many times, and the Indian is never going. Of course not. Of course not. Not this specific group, but people did for sure. The progress, I mean, is like them going through the landfill and house and finding that Leilani is likely the only one involved. I don't know what other progress anyone else is speaking of. Right. Well, me neither. Me neither. I have no clue. I just was looking at that. Susie Ocean, a member. Love that. My birthday is on the 15th of November. So, I don't know, like 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Something like that. Anyway, let's listen here.
This statement about Just into the WSAV newsroom, the Chatham County Police Department issuing this statement about protesters outside the Simon home. Many of the people claiming to want justice for Quinton have turned his tragic and heartbreaking case into a money-making circus, and they have made it impossible for the people who live in the area to enjoy the peace and tranquility of their homes. This is unacceptable, and it has to stop.
Right.
One person, a YouTube personality, was arrested out there. The department spokesperson says the protesters have been told to leave the area outside the Simon home and have now relocated to the Chatham County Police Department.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, we saw how well that went. And I'm sure that they'll get a bunch of laws changed while they're there. Good for them. I'm not okay. Amy says, dude, you're that old. Welcome to the other side. I'm 42 and I feel like 25 all day until my body tells me otherwise. Is that old? Mix-a-lot. Scorpios in the house. Oh, we got some November babies in the house. And the reason that you know why there's so many November babies is because February is Valentine's month. Chicka chicka bow wow.
Let's go.
Just kidding. I have no idea. I literally just did that on my hand. I went February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. Nope. 9 months? 9 months? Just now, I just figured that out. Just now. And I don't know if that's true or not. And I don't know if there are a lot of November babies. I see that there's a lot of November babies. See? Hubs was yesterday. Mine is the 6th. Look at that. Oh, no. Look at this. Maybe you're just not a commercial romantic. Wow. Josh, I got 30 years on you. Oh, okay. Nice. Technically, it's 10 months. Thanks. What do you mean, technically, it's 10 months? What does that mean, technically 10 months? I know you do. I know you do. We can all feel different. Sandy says, praying they find little Quentin and that justice is served soon. Amen. Well said. Now, let's move on. Thanks. You're a genius. No, I'm not. How is it technically 10 months? I want to know how it's technically 10 months. I act like I'm old. Thank you. All right. Well, yeah. Lilacs, glad you're here. Let's see. Thanksgiving. Oh, man. I didn't want to talk about Thanksgiving yet. I just want to make it like... It's 40 weeks, a normal term. Okay, so let's do the math here. 40 plus 9 divided by 12. Carry the 1 over to the 6. And the 5 and a half points. 13. 4. 17. It's 9 months. So, I just did the math. I don't care. I did the math, and it is what it is. All right. Moving on. Jesus. It's really a shock every time. And I didn't do that on purpose. Oh, no. Yeah. Yeah, you're probably right, Danielle. He really is like creepy. He's a creepy feller. Glad to be here. Yeah. Sounds like you had it was supposed to be a 9-month. Was he like, that's a big baby. Well, now that was not cool, my granddaughter. You got to get your own cookie. Now, the judge in the case of Delphi has recused himself. Let's get into it.
Let's go.
In another shocking turn of events, the public seemingly feels that everything is owed to them. Instant gratification, instant, the judge here calls it bloodlust for information that doesn't exist yet. And that's what he's saying. That YouTubers are putting out stuff about the judge's family on YouTube, so on and so forth. And, this time I don't personally know any of them. Let's go. Brandon says RIP Takeoff. Yeah, that was really sad. So now in, the Delphi case, the judge has recused himself. He didn't want any part of it.
Thanks for joining us. We want to begin tonight at 6 with a number of breaking news elements in the Delphi murders case. Less than 30 minutes ago, we learned the judge in this case has recused himself. So this means he is stepping down from being the judge in the case.
This comes after he made statements saying that he felt unsafe. Karen Campbell joins us now to explain that and what happened with Richard Allen.
He probably blames you guys.
Well, Allen County Judge Fran Gall will now take over as the special judge in the Delphi murder case against Richard Allen. Now, we've learned a judge does not have to give a specific reason for recusing from a case. In this court order released today, Circuit Court Judge Benjamin Diener says some members of the public have shared content about his family on YouTube, including some family photos. Now, Diener reportedly asked state court administrators for help dealing with what he called a brewing storm of requests from the public to release case information on Richard Allen, the man charged in the Delphi murders of Abby Williams and Libby German. Now, Judge Diener goes on to write, quote, the public's bloodlust for...
Dude, everything goes to like crap because of YouTube. Yeah. It's like... we can't have anything nice.
For information before it exists is extremely dangerous. All public servants administering this action do not feel safe and are not protected. He explains the court has 30 days to rule on any motion, but that he was given 7 days or 1 day when hand delivered to respond to a FOIA request or face litigation. Now, he says all public information in this case will be available once it exists.
How does he know? He's recused himself.
And today we also learned of a request to move Richard Allen to a state prison. We also learned...
He looks like Beetlejuice from the Howard Stern show. And I don't care what anybody says.
Less than about 10 minutes ago, he was officially transferred to a state prison. The court says it is for Allen's safekeeping as he waits to go to trial. That request claims that he is in imminent danger of getting seriously hurt or killed. Now, we want to mention that a FOIA
It's
request, that's simply a Freedom of Information request by media.
That's simply, okay, shush. It's true. The black and white. So it happened yesterday. I accidentally put this filter on. It's just a black and white filter. And then I noticed that, the brightness didn't hurt my eyes as much.
Or the public for information that is supposed to be public. Now, Judge Diener says Richard Allen is innocent until proven guilty.
Hi, Jessica.
And Scott, and we also just learned this. A member of the German family tweeted that they would like to keep the court documents sealed. And we know there is an upcoming public hearing this month on if the judge will keep Allen's case information sealed or not.
Okay, I jumped in because of the title, and then I hear about pregnancy. I was getting ready to leave the room. We have much more to talk about that. I like the black and white. It actually helped my eyes. It was kind of nice. It's nostalgic. Creepy, freaky eyes. Let's see. So they're going to move
Top
them.
story here.
Hilarious.
A judge in Delphi has approved the request of the Carroll County Sheriff to move Richard Allen into state custody for his own safety. Thanks for joining us here. First at 4, I'm Nick McGill.
And I'm Aaliyah Blackburn. As we've reported, Allen is charged with killing Abby Williams and Libby German near the Monon High Bridge east of Delphi in 2017. As Fox 59's Russ McQuaid shows us, the petition and the order expose the stress that Carroll County is under with this investigation.
That's right. This order from Judge Benjamin Denier uses the phrases like bloodlust and toxic insistence on public information when it grants the request to put Richard Allen's safekeeping in the hands of the Department of Correction.
We still don't know all that was said during Richard Allen's initial hearing on 2 murder charges during a closed hearing at Carroll County Circuit Court last Friday.
Quite frankly, I've never seen after the charges are actually filed, an initial hearing has taken place. I've never seen a case where the evidence is sealed. That's a new concept to me.
But this court order signed today by Judge Benjamin Diener cites the, quote, public's bloodlust for information and, quote, the imminent danger of serious bodily injury or death in keeping Richard Allen locked up away from the community he's called home for almost 20 years for his own good.
I really, really hope that now that we're in this phase of a prosecutorial process and due process, because everyone's innocent until they're proven guilty.
The judge's order indicates at his initial hearing last week, Allen said he would hire his own attorney.
I got to be honest. I think people just kind of say that. I really do. I think people does anybody believe that he's innocent? We haven't even seen the evidence yet. I mean, it's that I'm not even kidding. Does anybody think that he's innocent? No. But we want to know what exactly he did, when he did it.
Attorney and was clad in protective gear to keep him safe from the public. Allen's My Case file does not list whether or not an attorney has made an appearance on his behalf, even though the clock is ticking on the defendant's speedy trial constitutional right.
If the person is kept in custody, if he doesn't bail out, then he has to be tried within 6 months, and the trial needs to happen within a year if he gets out.
Meanwhile, details of the case against Allen remain a secret about why investigators think he killed Abby and Libby and what they may have found in his house during a search 2 weeks ago.
You're continuing to put out search warrants and work with the police on getting more information, more evidence.
Allen is due a week from today to tell the court if he has an attorney or if he needs the judge to appoint him one, and then 5 days later there will be a hearing on whether to unseal the case so that we can all learn more about what investigators think why he killed those 2 girls outside of Delphi 5.5 years ago. Russ McQuaid, Fox 59 News.
So the comment here says legally asking for information is not the problem. No, it's not. But also, it's not really just that simple either. The asking part is not the problem. The problem is when you get the answer that you don't want, and then people just can't, for some reason, take that as a frig off sign. And, why are people posting pictures of his children, his family? I mean, what's the point? What's the point? I don't know. I don't know what the point is. But I don't think that it is sealed because they believe there's more people out there. I really don't believe that. Now, there are people that believe that, and that's fine. I have nothing to disprove that, but I do think that this is a tactic. The tip line was a tactic. If they don't know by now, they've never named Logan a suspect. Say whatever you want. They just haven't. They've never named Klein a suspect. Say what you want. They just haven't. And you think that they had been investigating for quite some time. So I don't know exactly why we feel entitled. Deb Jackson says, calls my buddy Otis, was he a good boy? Not really. Like no, he wasn't actually. He was kind of a little jerk to everybody, but he's cute, so we let it go. Thank you for that super chat. But no, he was not really that good today. He was good yesterday. So I take what I can get. So I just don't know what would I like personally. Would I like the probable cause affidavit to be released personally? Yes. But I have no problem with them not releasing it. Sharon H. says, the police say Klein contacted one of the girls the day they went missing, and the same day they are targeted by two separate predators. What are the odds? I don't believe in coincidences, but I don't know. I don't know what the odds are, but they don't need. Do you think that they need tips about Klein? Do you think that they need tips about Logan? They had a search warrant on the guy's house. They dug it all up. Klein too. You think they need tips for them? Linda says, hey Josh, love your channel from day one. Love to everyone from Scotland. Thank you so much. And Stacy says hello. Hi, Stacy. How are you? Danielle says, I agree with you, Josh. Either way, doesn't matter to me, even though I would like to know too. I'd like to know too, but so unless there's some dark horse suspect out there, the other two people that have been mentioned in this case have had search warrants on their homes. Did they tell everything? Were they honest with the police? No, but they all had sketchy past. And I'm not saying that, I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. And, What do they need? Honestly, what do they need tips for them about? They don't. Not about them. And this whole he had help scenario. I think he acted alone. I think it was planned. Maybe there was some facilitating of some facilitating of, information. Maybe that happened. Keegan been talking, maybe flipped on this guy. Keegan was already procuring it for Tony. Maybe he was doing, who knows? I do not believe another person will be arrested for these murders. I just flat out don't. If I'm wrong, I will say I'm wrong. But I don't see that happening. And the reason is because they started the clock. 5.5 years, folks. It took them 5.5 years to bring charges against this guy. Who knows how long it's taken them to build this case? This case was not on a fast track. I fully, absolutely believe the reason that they want it sealed is to give themselves a head start. Not because there's somebody else out there that they think could be a part of this. They don't think that. Well, maybe they do. Maybe I'm wrong.
He's called home for.
But I would really. Yeah, and that's another thing. And I plead the fifth. And now this is, and I want to say this very, very clearly, and because I don't want anybody to take what I'm saying as fact, because it's absolutely not fact. But one of the things that has come up time and time again in this case is possibly a film of like a snuff film or, some video, pictures, and maybe the details of it, or they left the tip line open, folks, to get a head start. And by the way, they're doing it. They're getting their head start, and they know it's not going to last long. It can't. It just can't. But it is what it is. They're getting the extra time that they want for whatever reason. Now, once again, obviously in court, he was read what he was being charged with. I don't know if he has a lawyer yet. He's pled not guilty, being held without bond. Yeah, 30 days will be the maximum pretty much by law. And I'm telling you, a judge isn't going to do this just because they want to help the prosecution. That's not what judges do, or that's not what they're supposed to do. There has to be a reason that they gave this judge. And by the way, this is now ending up in a different judge's hands. So tomorrow could be a very different day. The judge could say tomorrow, release it all. I'm the judge in this case. What are we doing? You got other suspects? Then bring charges or move forward. The judge isn't going to have any bias. It's just not going to happen. So what is it that is so important that, and they, by the way, they knew this was going to start a crap storm. Everybody knew that this was going to start a crap storm. That was always going to happen. You know, so who knows what this new judge is? The lady that's coming on, the new judge, you know, she's been on the bench for 20 years. She's been on the bench 20 years. What do you think she's going to go say when she sees this? She's going to go, well, why is it sealed? And then they're going to say, well, our tip line's still open. We're still receiving tips. Against who? Other suspects or Ricky. And they're going to say, well, you know, you got him in custody. If you're taking tips for Ricky, he's in custody. What, are you just taking tips in general? Do you have a target on somebody else's back? Or is this obviously, if they felt more people were involved, they would all be arrested together and possibly tried together. That doesn't seem like it's happening. He's going to stand trial for this alone. Even if they have some DNA, unless it's like the OJ DNA, which back then nobody understood DNA, they fight DNA all the time in court now. All the time. DNA is supposed to be the gold standard. I'm telling you, juries have a hard time with the 15 markers or, you know, the probabilities or the this or the that. DNA is not always like if you come out and just say, yeah, his blood was everywhere, I'd be like, all right, that's good DNA. If we're talking, you know, sweat and, well, you know, does it match? Does it match? How many markers does it match? Does it match 8 of the 15? So it's more probable than not that it's him, but you know, there's still doubt. They do this crap all the time. They absolutely contest it constantly. So, you know, a White County judge lost wife and daughter in mysterious fire. Of course he got scared. He said, the judge specifically said that he didn't feel safe. So to me, that does sound like he was scared, and I would be too. Do you think his wife is putting pieces together since they dug up her yard and searched her home? I feel really bad for her and their daughter. I don't know. If she was smart, she'd just be done with him. I mean, the fact that he's charged with this, like, I find it really, really difficult to think that somebody could just be charged with this and just be completely innocent. You know, the standard is pretty high. The bar is pretty high to arrest somebody on a no bail. They've got to have something. They've got to have something big. They got to have something big. And I don't know if they do or not. I'm assuming since it took them almost 6 years to arrest somebody. I just don't. I don't know. I don't know. I hope and I pray that this is the guy, and that what they're doing right now. Guys, remember when he was arrested, he was getting, you know, I don't know how many daughters he has. You address the judge. I think I did just address that, actually. You know, like I said, they've got to have something big. Yeah, trust me, that I agree. They're dealing with liars, no doubt. There's no doubt about it. I don't know. I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure. Now, I just think that they would have brought charges against Keegan and Logan already. You know, it seems like they've gotten basically everything that they wanted from them. They executed search warrants left and right. I think charges would have been brought. I don't know what the evidence is. Nobody knows. Daughter's photo was posted in 2018, but I don't know when it was taken. I don't know when it was taken. Let me see.
8 at 5 starts now.
We begin at 5 o'clock with stunning new revelations in the Delphi murders. It's a story we first broke for you on TV and online this morning.
ITMate has obtained court documents that, for the first time, publicly describe the scene where those murders took place. What was taken from the scene and a potential early suspect in the case, ITMate's Demi Johnson, has been following the story from day one. Demi,
By the way, Mimi, this is a great observation, and I don't know, I you know, you're smarter than me, so it makes sense. They're keeping the tip line open because they hope to get more incriminating evidence that people may put together now that they know who it is. Yeah, that's a great point. That's completely possible as well. But still not a good enough reason.
Document, very powerful.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm with it. I think it's good.
Phil and Alexis, it's this 9-page request for a search warrant filed March 17th of 2017. Now, that's a little more than a month after Libby German and Abby Williams were found murdered in Delphi. This disturbing document, for the first time, gives us an investigator's description of the crime scene and what the suspect may have taken with him.
ITMate obtained the request for the search warrant from the Murder Sheet podcast, the same group that first published the interview transcript of Anthony Schott's suspect, Kagan Klein. ITMate has confirmed the document is authentic. The document, written by an FBI agent, describes what investigators found when they discovered the bodies of Abby Williams and Libby German on February 14th.
So this was some time back.
The agent writes, a large amount of blood was lost by the victims at the crime scene. Because of the nature of the victim's wounds, it is nearly certain the perpetrator of the crime would have gotten blood on his person or clothing. Authorities also found that 2 articles of clothing from one of the girls was missing from the crime scene, while the rest of their clothing was recovered. It also appeared the girls' bodies were moved and staged. The agent goes on to say, based upon my training and experience, it is common for perpetrators of this type of crime to take a souvenir or in some fashion memorialize the crime scene. The agent also references the video on Libby's phone, confirming it was 43 seconds long. Up until now, only a few seconds have been made public. It's this short audio clip where you hear the suspect talking to the girls.
That's one thing that I will be completely fascinated to hear, is that I'd be completely fascinated by the more video and audio. I'm sure the video is just him walking, but there has got to be. I mean, there's more audio, yeah. There's more audio.
The agent also confirms the girls were being followed by the suspect on the Monon High Bridge Trail. The agent also says there were no visible signs of a struggle or fight. The search warrant is for the property of Ronald Logan, who owned the land where the 2 girls were found dead. You see him here in this video shot by Wish TV in 2017, just days after the girls were murdered. It describes his activity the day the girls went missing. The agent says Logan claimed someone drove him to an aquarium store in Lafayette on the afternoon of February 13th, at the time the girls disappeared. But the agent says these statements were found to be factually false and intentionally designed to deceive law enforcement officers. The agent says Logan contacted his cousin and asked him to tell that story before the bodies were found. Based on investigators' experience, it is reasonable to believe that the creation of an alibi prior to the discovery of a crime indicates culpability or knowledge of the crime. I asked the founders of the Murder Sheet podcast why they believe this new information is significant.
This is a situation where you've had a lot of speculation or rumors going around that sounded pretty realistic, or perhaps, sounded like well thought out. But it's another thing to sort of see it just in black and white on a court document.
I feel it is really important to get actual court documents where people are actually have to swear an oath that what they're saying is actually true.
Now let's tell you a little bit more about Ronald Logan. It's important to note Logan is dead. He died in 2020. He was charged with a probation violation for driving with a suspended license. He was never formally named a suspect and never charged in the Delphi murders. But in this document, the FBI agent says Logan's voice is not inconsistent with that of the person in the video. Now, we showed you that video of Ronald Logan in this story, and in searching through our archives, I found this interview with him shortly after the girls were found. Here's what he told us about the day the girls went missing.
Monday afternoon, I was in Lafayette Aquarium World getting tropical fish for my aquarium. So when I came home, one of the neighbors stopped and asked for permission to come back here and look for the missing girls, and that's the first time I knew anything about it. So I fooled with my tropical fish the whole time that the search was going on Monday night, but then they didn't find them until Tuesday at around noon or 1 or whatever it was.
Stunning new details, Demi. I know you reached out to the girls' family. They had no comment. But what about state police and the FBI?
So I did just receive a statement from State Police Superintendent Doug Carter. He tells me, I would like to remind the public that this is an active and ongoing investigation, and we will do everything we can to protect its integrity and to not try it in court of public opinion. We cannot publicly convict someone based on a single document which was not released by investigators. Our profession will not allow us to speak on what we think, but to always speak about what we know. This is especially important with the heinous murders of Abby and Libby, We must continue to be mindful of their surviving family members and the entire Carroll County community who are affected by this investigation. Now, the FBI also sent a statement saying it does not have any more details to share at this time.
Okay. You'll stay on top of it as you have been for the past few years. Demi, thank you very much. Ronald Logan. Yeah, he's now the second person that we know police searched and questioned in the case. Demi and I, Team 8, first told you about another person, Keegan Kline, back in December of 2021. He's the man in jail right now accused of creating and using the Anthony Shots profile to get hundreds of sexual pictures and videos from underage girls. That's the same account state police said that they found while investigating the Delphi murders. Then in March, with the help of the Murder Sheet podcast, we were able to tell you about Kline's interview transcript with police. It revealed the Anthony Shots profile did communicate with the girls the day that they were killed. Now, if you missed any part of this story, we've posted the documents online at wishtv.com. Just grab your phone, scan the QR code on that screen. That Anthony Shots profile did communicate with the girls the day that they were killed.
So
now, if you missed any part of this story, that's the Anthony Shine back
at this time.
Okay. You'll stay on top of it as you have been for the past few years. Demi,
what are
thank
the
you very
odds
much.
of that?
Ronald Logan. Yeah, he's.
This is the way that I look at it. I don't believe that he's had them dropped. I don't believe that he's had them dropped. I think that they requested it, but I don't think so. So I think that maybe it's so when I say that I don't think that he had help with the actual murders, I'm not saying that Keegan whatever didn't facilitate whatever he was doing, or whatever. That would be a coincidence of epic proportions. Oh, did they drop him? Yeah. I didn't know if they had dropped him or not. I knew that they were requesting to drop him. I don't know. Let me see here. Well, it says right here in Peru, Indiana, which is somewhat like Mexico, Indiana. Prosecutors in Miami are asking a judge to drop 5 of the 30 child porn related charges against Keegan Kline. Kline, 28, is a figure linked to the Delphi murder investigation, although has not been charged in the deaths of Abigail Williams and Liberty German. Kline is accused of using a fake social media profile called Anthony Shots to solicit sexually explicit pictures from at least 15 underage girls. Investigators found dozens of photos of underage girls on phones and tablets owned by Kline. Police say that one of the girls Kline communicated with via social media was Liberty German. Keegan Kline is actually known to have been in contact with one of the victims in this case, Liberty German. In fact, he was in contact with her on the very day of the murder. Wow. Our understanding is that Liberty German thought she was messaging with a much younger man, and better looking and probably had a good personality or something. Not gaggle beast. The request by prosecutors filed late Wednesday afternoon asked that 5 charges against Kline be dismissed because it had been determined that there is insufficient evidence to prove said counts beyond a reasonable doubt at trial. Kline still faces trial January 25th. Sorry. Kline still faces trial on 25 other charges. Yeah. Drop 5 because they're working on a plea deal with Keegan Klein's, even though I think he should be in prison for a long, long time. If they're working on a plea deal with him, he's obviously going to have some. He's going to have some information that is helpful, but it doesn't look like it's a plea deal. It looks like they're just like, there's not enough evidence. And by the way, if I was a judge and they said, hey, Judge Josh, let's just say for this presentation that I'm Judge Josh, okay? And they came up to me and say, hey, Judge Josh. And I'd say, yes, Your Honor. So, hey, we have 5 counts that we want to contest out of the 30. And I would say, okay, what's that? And they would say, well, we don't think that there is significant evidence enough to prove that. And I would go, okay. I would take a look at it. But the first thing that I would say to them is, this is what I would say. I'd say, out of the 30, you're asking for 5 to be dropped because of lack of evidence. And the fact that you didn't have 25 more to dispute is enough evidence to keep all 30. Let's not nitpick here. They've got to be proven. But if, I'm not making the trial shorter for you. 5 counts, that matters to you? That matters to you? We have 25 that you think deserve to go to trial, but 5 you're just disputing. I'd keep them all. Battle them in court. Battle them in court, Bubba. By the way, does everybody see Don Wells up in the corner there? Pile. He really is. He's like the biggest pile ever. But anyway, that's what I would say as a judge. So I don't think that there should be any reason to dismiss him. And if that happened, that sucks. I really hope that that's not the case. Take a look here. I always find these pretty fascinating. Ali C. All I see? Ali C. All I see. My opinion, I suspect Ellie are hoping victims of Allen who were possibly essayed come forward, like young girls who need protection, known in... Yes and no, but you can still can't you still take those tips? All I see. Can't you still take all those tips? He's in custody because the clock has started. I'm gonna get the crack fairy out of here. I don't want him up here. He's distracting. He really is distracting. It pisses me off sometimes, but let me see. Bye, Donnie. Bye, Don. So, let's see. Deb Jackson's going to hit me here. Josh, as a former law enforcement officer, you are wrong. They will have to arrest someone else. The state police, as already said, he's not the bridge guy. Rumors in law enforcement says the guy they what? So you think that, or hold on. Josh, as a former law enforcement officer, you were wrong. They will have to arrest someone else. The state police has already said he's not the bridge guy. Have they said that? Huh. How did I miss that? Interesting. So you think bridge guy, or so you're saying that bridge guy is the one that told on them? Wouldn't that be Ron Logan? I don't know. I'm Carter said that it was in the documents. Really? I'm like, he's bridge guy, right? He's bridge guy because they said that bridge guy is the killer. I didn't think that they ever took that back. I mean, if somebody can confirm that. Huh. Yes, after the press conference. Don't you wouldn't that be bigger news? Yeah, I'm really, really confused, and I'm under the impression still that it's bridge guy. I know Keegan's not bridge guy, if that's what you're saying. I don't think. Uh-oh. I'm confused. I'm confused. I know that Keegan is not bridge guy. I know that. Is that what we're talking about? Because if that's what we're talking about, then this was all just a misunderstanding. Pretty sure law enforcement said they believe Allen's the guy and today's the day. That's what I was under that impression. I don't know. I hope. Yeah, sometimes he does. Yeah. Klein is getting a really good deal. KK said he waited in the car. I know that they said that bridge guy is not Klein, but bridge guy is Allen. But they don't know that, right? I don't, Deb, I don't think he is, man. I truly don't. I truly don't. And I don't know who the whistleblower, and I don't trust whistleblowers unless they put their name on it. Yeah, but I don't believe that, Deb. I truly don't. And the reason I say that is because people are full of it. And I don't think that they're leaking that information. I've read a lot of information that I didn't, that I've heard tons of rumors, but I don't think so. Yeah, I never thought, they've never said that Keegan was bridge guy ever. Yeah, this is a good. I'm still most interested in who is going to represent arrestee. The person is going to be one if three key players. This whole next step, that person, the prosecutor, and the judge. Right. So, but Deb, my question is, have they went on record to say this, or this is somebody that has said something like, oh, I heard this. I've heard them more than one. I believe that was the guy that walked up. Like, this is the guy. That's the guy down the hill. Ron didn't say that. If they thought that Ron Logan was the bridge guy and that he walked over to the kids and said down the hill, they would arrest him. In my opinion. Let's see. Graz, can you throw your email up? I don't know how to do a. I was wondering if I ask you a couple questions. If you're able to. If you're not able to, it's fine. Yeah, he was tropical fish shopping. That's for sure. Let me see. Let me see if I can get Graz. I'm gonna. Can you call the show? I'm trying to think of a good way to do this. I'm trying to think of a good way to. Let me see here. Okay, thank you. Let me see. Hold on 1 second, Gross. All right, Gross. Oh, cool. I just emailed you, so check your email, because I don't know how to do like share like it doesn't work for some reason. Here, I'll wait for your call, because I know that you know this case really well, and
County and still
Again, 2 young teens.
Children out to do.
Oh God. Let me see. Oh, okay. No worries, dude. All good. It is all good. Let me see. All right. Sorry about that. Yeah, Grouse, we'll hook up and and I'll ask you. We'll get you on here and have you answer a couple questions for us.
In fact, Eyewitness News reporter Emily Longnecker tonight continues our team coverage in Delphi with how people there continue to cope with the loss of Abby.
I just want to hear.
Against the beauty of the sunshine and bright blue skies Wednesday, it was still hard for Ron Logan to believe the violence visited upon 2 young teens just out for a hike on a day off from school.
Yeah, bro, we'll get it on there.
They let their children out.
Absolutely. We'll hook up for sure.
Special that day. Take a trip down and then turn out with a disaster like this.
For 53 years, Logan's lived on the country road near the trail that leads to the Monon High Bridge.
People walk up and down with their children, and yeah, it's quite a nice little trail, and the bridge is real.
Never, though, has Logan seen anything like what he has this week. The search.
Graz, do you believe that Logan is involved? If you can answer that.
The area that they were in is very
can
hard
do
to get to. I mean, you can't get there.
Don't let, and by the way, do not let my feelings.
Or something.
Those are the same kind of thoughts Marvin Sandifer keeps mulling over. His daughter used to hike the same trail.
She said, I've seen a couple scruffy-looking guys back in there, but, they never bothered me. They went on their way.
Sandifer is anxious for investigators to identify a suspect.
I'm not really scared. I'm just worried that it would happen again.
That's why he hopes someone knows or saw something on that trail.
Oh, bipolar
and can lead
bear.
Investigators down the right path soon.
I hope they catch him tonight, and I hope they make him pay.
And with the release tonight of the picture of that unknown man seen walking on the trail Monday afternoon, people here are hoping investigators are that much closer to...
The reason that they're talking like they're drunk is because I forgot to change that. Okay, I'm gonna listen to the press conference again one more time, and then we're gonna move on from it. Because I don't the leaks I have trouble with. Correct. Logan can't be arrested. He's dead. I know.
We will not discuss evidence that is related to this investigation.
Their sound sucks.
Any of you on social media, on Twitter, Instagram.
Shut up to you. All right.
Good morning. My name is Sergeant Jeremy Piers, Public Information Officer. Continued support.
Dude, I was listening to a little bit the Anthony Shots thing is weird. But I think that he facilitated, I don't think that he was involved with the actual slayings and the way that we put it, the murders. I don't think that he was, first of all, he's probably too lazy to actually leave his room because he's an incel, sicko. Good night. A sick sicko.
Give me just a second here. Seldom do I have prepared remarks, but today is different because I do not want there to be any confusion or ambiguity with what I will say. Today is not a day to celebrate, but the arrest of Richard M. Allen of Delphi on 2 counts of murder is sure a major step in leading to the conclusion of this long-term and complex investigation. First, I'd like to speak directly to Anna, Mike, Becky, Kelsey, your extended families, along with the entire Delphi community that certainly has grown and now includes our nation and even many countries around the world. I am proud to report to you
I agree.
that today,
I agree.
actually last Friday, was the day. And an arrest has been made. Thanks to literally hundreds of media outlets that have been steadfast in reporting and keeping the memories of Abby and Libby front and center.
Yeah, Deb, I see your point.
Many of you in the room have developed relationships with me personally, and
I see your point.
I always have a personal perspective, and today's no different. But from a very personal perspective, you all have provided inspiration and support, even while oftentimes frustrated with us and me. You continue to encourage the efforts, and you too believe that one day we would all be here participating and sharing this news. To the entire law enforcement community, which includes all local, state, and federal agencies, which are far too many to specifically mention today, thank you, thank you, thank you. We are going to continue a very methodical and committed approach to ensure that if any other person had any involvement in these murders in any way, that person or persons will be held accountable. Since the murders of Abby and Libby 2,086 days ago, the daily investigative team has worked tirelessly and is certainly worthy of mention today. Specifically, Sheriff Linsonby, the Sheriff of Carroll County, Detectives Tony Liggett, Detective retired Kevin Hammond, former Delphi chief and now the prosecutor's investigator Steve Mullins, State Police First Sergeant Jerry
I don't know.
Holman,
Maybe he has a cold. I have no idea.
Detectives Jay Harper, Dave Vito, and Brian Harshman, along with members of the United States Marshal Service, specifically Agent Jeremy
Certainly
Clinton
could if they had a gun.
and Agent Bill Culfers. With them today is Dan McClain, the U.S. Marshal, appointed U.S. Marshal.
Do we care if he's sniffing or crying?
Our state
I
police
don't.
analyst, our scientists.
Maybe he's doing both.
From many different disciplines within our laboratory division. Mrs. Kathy Shank, for your incredible dedication to detail and to so many others that I know I've missed.
Okay, so let me just say this and then we can move on. My thought here is, and Deb, I've heard some of the rumors, and that's really what they are, and you're allowed to, you have the right to believe them because everything that we're being told, nothing is straightforward except that Richard Allen is in jail, charged with these murders. And that right now there's no other suspects. If Ron was a suspect, they would have called him one a long time ago. Whether they searched his property just 2 days after. I just don't. But now Klein, I'll tell you, Klein is not Bridge Guy. Bridge Guy has to be Allen. He has to be Allen because he's the one that was following the girls, the one they have the video of. That's not Logan. That can't be Logan. Because that would mean that Logan is the killer. Or the wrangler or whatever. I mean, Snuffleup.
I really believe
That's just how that's how I break it down.
that Abby and Libby would be proud of you for standing strong, even in the face of immense pressure and perpetual criticism. Some of these individuals have postponed retirement, passed on promotional opportunity, have dedicated personal time away from their families, given up nights, weekends, and holidays, all while in the pursuit of accountability for Abby and Libby. I know that today's announcement will not diminish your resolve, and I hope you have found just a bit of peace in this most complicated world. This is really important. While I know you are all expecting final details today concerning this arrest, today is not that day. Today is not that day.
There are other people that do believe that.
This investigation is far from complete, and we will not jeopardize its integrity by releasing or discussing documents or information before the appropriate time. Prosecutor Nick McClellan, of course, will share additional information about what we can and cannot say, and also explain to you why the probable cause affidavit is temporarily sealed by the court and not available. And by the way, he has been a tremendous, tremendous asset to this team. I'm yet again asking you for your patience and please your understanding while our system of due process works. Also remember that all persons arrested are presumed innocent. All persons arrested are presumed innocent. You all will have an innate desire to subjectively interpret and then report what you think. We in the law enforcement realm cannot, and you should never allow us to, talk about what we think concerning facts, but rather discuss and share at the right time what it is we know.
Only one more month and it's a baby.
The time
Unless
will
it's
come
10
when
months.
additional details can be released. But again, today is not that day. It's about Abby and Libby, their families, and this community, this nation, and even our planet. The prosecutor has been very clear with law enforcement about what his expectations are, about what can and cannot be released, shared, or discussed. So we will, of course, comply. If you choose to be critical of our silence, be critical of me.
Yeah, he's kind of glistening a little bit, like he might have a bit of a fever here. I don't know, man. One thing that I learned about him is that like he was like a state trooper for like 18 years, and then he was like sheriff for 2 terms, and then it's like this guy's been in law enforcement forever. Yeah, you remember that? If anybody does anybody know where that's from?
Not the front line.
The lab. What do you think of the petition to keep the probable cause doc sealed? Have you signed it? I have not signed it. I'm fine with it being sealed. I'm totally fine with it being sealed. I don't care to know the details at the moment. Well, then we'll watch that too.
These are the folks that have committed their entire lives to a successful conclusion.
Yeah, he could have the seal.
In other words, a guilty verdict. As we move to the next phase of this investigation, I will continue to offer all resources that the ISP has to not only the investigative team I anticipate growing, but also to Prosecutor McClellan as we prepare for the coming months. Again, Nick has been very resolute and very clear, and I'm most grateful for his leadership. And it's going to be really important as we move forward. Please continue offering tips that you would like to share. The many avenues to report will remain open and will be available to all. Please continue doing that. In closing, I stand before you in this church and very place where we held our first briefing nearly 6 years ago, and just hours after the murders of Abby and Libby. Right here.
So I want to answer that question with a little bit of, put a little meat on it too, because it's a great question. In this situation, in this case, because I'm rooting for the prosecution to prove that he's the guy, I'm fine with it. If I was under arrest, I would not be fine with it. So there you go. But I'm not, so I don't care.
Really sure.
Seal it, baby. Seal it.
Experience. But peace came over me.
Yeah, that's a fact, Val.
I didn't expect that to happen. And I hope all of you, with all the different responsibilities you
Forever
have
in 3 days.
from around the planet today, have felt some of that as well. But remember, we're not done.
No, we are not. You can
I think
take our
what
lives,
we all
but
have
you can never take our
experienced
freedom.
proves that together there's nothing we cannot do.
It's like a Val
But more
Victorian speech.
importantly, giving of ourselves, all of us,
You could play graduation music to this, which
giving
is
of ourselves
obviously
matters more than what we
disrespectful, and I
could
never
ever
would. I'm just saying.
receive.
You can tell me whatever you want, Deb. You're allowed to. We're allowed to disagree about it, for sure.
Though in death, have had a profound effect on so many of us.
Of course. Thank you for
on how we live.
The question. It's a good question. I liked it.
And as importantly, who we all should be. I would now like to introduce to you.
We can charge people.
My friend and the Carroll County Sheriff, Tom Ledsby, for his remarks.
Sheriff. I like his voice. He's got a great speaking voice.
I believe in a God of justice and righteousness. Today, I believe that same God has provided us with justice for us.
I don't really want to listen to the sheriff. I think he's a very nice guy, but yeah, I agree, and really he did, yeah, especially when he said the justice. Snuffleupagus. And Vroom coming with the heat as always. All alternate suspect speculation is fodder for accused defense attorney's reasonable doubt strategy unless LE discovers they were wrong and charges are withdrawn, which would be quite a twist. You're telling me. If you close your eyes, Sheriff sounds like Martin Luther King. Okay. All right, I'm going to do it.
Abby and Libby. As Sheriff of Carroll County, Indiana, I want to publicly and sincerely thank each individual who played a role in helping us during this 5.5-year investigation. Whether it was in an investigative capacity.
Wait a minute here. You've piqued my curiosity here.
You, Dr. Martin, as a great beacon light of hope to millions of Negro slaves who had been seared in the flames of withering injustice. It came as a joyous daybreak to end the long night of their captivity.
Providing tips, cards, or letters of suggestions or encouragement, phone calls, and thousands of other countless ways of communicating.
But 100 years later, the Negro still is not free. 100 years later, the life of the Negro is still sadly crippled by the manacles of segregation and the chains of discrimination.
I earnestly thank those who prayed for this moment in time.
I can kind of see it. A little bit.
We now move forward through the Indiana
100 years later
system.
Yeah, I mean,
the Negro lives on a lonely island of poverty.
And process.
But by the content of their character, I have
providing that justice. Abby and Libby.
I can see it.
Their families in this community. Thank you.
I have issues.
Welcome, everybody. My name is Nicholas McClellan. I'm the Carroll County prosecutor. And before we get started, I want to reiterate some of the things that Sheriff Ledsby and Superintendent Carter stated. I first want to thank both of them. They've been a great support to my office.
I have a dream, and one day we will find this man and prosecute him to the fullest extent of the law. I have a dream that if it is Richard Allen, that he drops the soap daily in prison.
Office throughout this investigation.
I have a dream that one day we will look down upon the valley and say, it is well with my soul.
They've always been there for a phone call and always been willing to help a hand or a line of assistance to me and my office during this investigation. I want to thank the team behind me.
I think
This
the
is
show
homicide
just
task force
officially
team that
jumped
we've
the
put
shark.
together. Thank them and thank their families for being so understanding for the many nights they've worked away from their families, away from their children. There are many dates in a lifetime that you're going to remember. The date your children are born, the date you're married, the date you buy a first house, the date Abby and Libby went missing. One of those dates was last Friday, October 28, 2022. At that time, we had gathered evidence to formulate a PC that we submitted to the court, and the judge did find probable cause for an arrest of Richard Allen. He's been charged with 2 counts of murder for the murder of Abigail Williams and Liberty German. This investigation is still very ongoing. We're keeping the tip line open, the tip email open. We encourage everybody to continue to call in tips, not only about Richard Allen, but about any other person that you may have.
I have a dream.
For that reason and for the nature of this case, the probable cause and the charging information has been sealed by the court. I've been very clear to everybody that per the court order,
I mean, he's like a Hollywood 5, but a Delphi 8 for sure. A Florida 7. A New York 5. Nah, he's probably in New York 6. And but we're Indiana, he's an Indiana 8 for sure.
we cannot talk about the evidence that's in the probable cause or the evidence that's in the charging information. That will become evident to you at some point, and it'll be released, but right now is not that day. Today's about Abby and Libby, focusing on them. Mr. Allen has had his initial hearing. He's entered a preliminary plea of not guilty. The matter's been set for a pretrial on January 13th at 9 a.m., 2023, and a trial date of...
Let's go!
I love
it. March 20th, 2023 at 9 a.m. He is presumed innocent. We will have an opportunity and day in court when we can present the evidence that we have against him. But until that day, he is presumed innocent. I want to open up to a few limited questions from the audience. But again, keep in mind
he's not a bad looking dude, but like I don't know. I don't know what he is. I just think he's a decent look. Yeah, he's decent looking. Like he's a Rogersville 11.5 for sure. 110 Ben Hill Road. He's a 200.
We're not going to talk about the evidence that we have in this case or about the charging information. We cannot. Those things have been sealed by the court.
Yeah, they're sealed.
And so I want to open up a few questions.
Prosecutor, when did Richard Allen become a suspect, and do you think he acted alone?
Again, that's part of the investigation, so I'm not going to talk about those things. What I can say is that we have probable cause established by the court for his arrest, and he is in custody. He's being held currently without bond.
How long has he been a suspect?
I'm sorry? Again, that gets into the evidence we have of the investigation, and I know from everybody it's frustrating. I know everybody, not only reporters, but the family, everybody wants to know more information. I understand it's frustrating, but my goal is to maintain the integrity of this case.
I hope so.
Superintendent Carter, you had said that you believe that you had...
Wait a minute. Are you asking me on a scale of 1 to 10 if I would date him? Is that the question? That's more of a yes or no answer. It's more of a yeah. Correct. No bond. I'm married, but yes, how did we get here? How did we get here? I like it. I don't want to answer, but I'm going to. One of the things that I pride myself on is answering difficult questions. And this is a difficult question because first and foremost, I'm in a relationship. That should have no bearing on my decision. I would I don't like guys. That should be the end of the sentence, but it's not, with beards.
Spoken to the suspect or the suspect's family.
And that was a fire answer.
Let's go. Again, I appreciate the question, but we're getting into the timeline of events, and today's not the time to do that.
It's not the day.
Emotional it is for everybody that's worked on this case. What was your conversation first like with the family, Abby, when you were able to tell them you finally got the suspect?
It was a very personal moment for me, and I think it was a very personal moment for them, for all of us that have had interaction with the family. We developed a relationship that I think is going to last at least one lifetime, and maybe a second. So it was a very, very, very sad yet a very humbling experience.
You asked for tips. You detective work. There was a reward for 325.
Oh, no. Don't get me wrong. I love my beard. I just don't like guys with beards. So therefore, I wouldn't date them. It's not that I don't like them. I get along with them fine.
All come together to make this nexus. Is that the combination of all three things that led us to this?
No comment.
Was it one or the other?
Well, eventually you'll be able to see what led us to this day, but again, today's not that day. To include the reward, you mentioned that, Raphael, about the reward itself, and again, very premature for us to talk about that. There's still a tremendous amount of work to do.
What would you say that Abby and Libby have taught you in depth that we can remain to continue on with?
I think probably resilience and understanding the value of each and every day. That today was the day, but I didn't anticipate they ever thought today would be their day. And I feel like I've known them for a long time. Excuse me?
Do you assume there's any other individuals involved in this case?
Mike Talk Show, he does have rights, and it sounds like he's been advised of those rights, and that they were read to him at his arraignment.
We haven't closed the door on the investigation. And so that's why we keep the tip line and the tip email open. And so we're not presuming anything at this point.
He's a Hollywood Five.
But we're going to continue to take tips, continue to take any information anybody has. And as we've done with all the information we've gathered, we're going to look at that in the...
No, but Alan has Alan has rights to know what he's charged with. Yes, we do, I guess.
Examine that and see where it leads us.
It kind of looks like Keanu Reeves that was in the microwave just a little too long.
Report based on this investigation that these documents should remain out of the public view. Could you explain, without getting into the details of what's in the documents, well, this is not regular. Usually a public hearing is held. We should be able to see all the documents, right?
Sure. Sure.
You made a decision. Can you explain your decision as to why you believe that over the next 30 days, no one in this room should have access to those records?
Sure. It is unusual. We don't do it very often in all the cases that we handle here in Carroll County. We did it in this case because the investigation is still open. And while all cases are important, the nature of this case has some extra scrutiny with it. And so my office, felt it was important to seal those records. There will be a public hearing on whether or not those records are going to remain sealed or not. There'll be public notice for that hearing so that everyone can attend, but there will be a hearing to determine whether or not they're going to stay sealed. But for now, to me, it's about protecting the integrity of this case. I want to have an opportunity at some point.
Yeah, he was filled in. We're the ones that aren't filled in, but he was filled in on what he's charged with. But he also has the right to see that probable cause affidavit, so he knows what's in there. And if he was smart, he'd have a lawyer.
In court to explain the evidence and for that not to be tarnished or tainted or anything like that. Again, he's presumed innocent, and so it was important for me in this case to do that. Hold on just a minute. We're not going to comment on that right now as part of the investigation.
He looks like a Miller High Life drinker. Mike Talk Show thinks that they have a weak case. I think the opposite, but I don't think that that's why. I don't think that that's why it's sealed. Maybe they do have a weak case. I don't know.
Again, we just encourage everybody to continue to call in tips if they have them about anybody, and we'll examine those tips.
So is this the one?
Doug, talk about one thing that you said. You stood up there and you said you weren't sure what kind of emotions you were going to feel today.
Yeah.
And talk about that. You pulled up and it just hit.
Well, I got up really early today, and I didn't really work all day yesterday, and in my mind about what was happening, and I just decided to take the long way here. And I was going to get here early, and I decided not to, so it was about a 2-cup trip, and I just disappeared into the rural areas of Delphi, from Delphi to my home, and it was a bit surreal. And then when I pulled into the parking lot, it was really surreal, and it was just peaceful. I just felt, weird. I didn't expect that.
You were visibly emotional up there. Can you talk about that? I mean, you've always said this was personal.
It is personal. It's personal to all of us, and to be able to participate and see the raw emotion, and to see the commitment and the dedication of not just from the state police, but from, the sheriff's office in this county has 12 deputies, I think. The city of Delphi is very small, but it's a wonderful, wonderful community. And just to see the level of commitment at a time when most people would have just walked away is very powerful to me as my career comes to an end. It's very powerful.
Are you confident this is your guy?
The judge signed the probable cause affidavit for the arrest of Richard Allen for 2 counts of murder. Yes.
Do you think there are other people involved?
I'm not going to go there.
There's still speculation out there that investigators should still continue to look, even though he's passed away, at Ron Logan, where the bodies were found?
We're going to keep doing what we've done until there's nothing left for us to do. We're going to keep doing it.
I was looking back at my old notes from I have notebooks. I have notebooks for 5.5 years. So I was reading back on the time when you guys searched Mr. Logan's property, and Kim Riley, was it Kim's? And he was saying it was because some things didn't add up. Are we still looking at Mr. Logan as possibly involved?
At everything and all of it. We're looking at all of it. We said when this happened we were going to start all over.
So you never cleared him, Mr. Logan.
We haven't cleared anybody.
Talk about the decision to keep the PC closed.
Well, that's a part of this entire process. This is not a typical, usual homicide investigation, but they all matter. But this one is different. And Nick McClellan, the prosecutor here, has been a really good partner and made the decision to attempt to do that, and the judge agreed. So that's all I'm going to say about it.
Can you talk about what brought you to Mr. Allen?
No, I can't.
Can you talk about if he's related to Kevin Klein in any way?
I can't talk about any of the facts associated with the case. Emily, I can't.
The Patties confirmed to us that at one point Mr. Allen processed some photos for them at the local CVS and didn't make them pay for them. They there was a rumor out there, and they said, "Yep, that happened." Did you know that happened?
I didn't.
You always said, I mean, gosh, in every press conference when you brought out the video and the audio, and you addressed the killer several times and said, if you're here, do we know if he was ever in any of those rooms when you talked? Are you going back and looking at video or trying to see?
We're going to do everything we can possibly do.
The command center, that's long been closed, but are we going to reestablish a new command center
There's
now?
one there now. We moved from the big facility back to the city building and now to another facility near the square in downtown Delphi.
And so is that about to get even busier now?
I will give them any resource they want. I'm not going to get involved in the production of a process from an investigative standpoint, but there will be no questions as to why. If they ask for a resource, they'll get it.
Who's the lead investigator, though, on this? Is it Carroll County? Is it you guys? Is it everybody?
Yes, it's a task force. We've been in a task force from the very beginning. This event happened in Carroll County, of course, but we've been unified since the very beginning, and we'll maintain that.
FBI too? Are they still involved?
FBI and all federal agencies continue to be available to us.
How many, and over these past 5.5 years, where I was trying to find out overall how many tips before today had come in? Was it like tens of thousands?
70,000-ish. I should have gotten that this morning. I've said that a couple different times, but I think we're somewhere around 70,000 or just above that.
How about the reward? What was that up to?
Yeah, I think it was 340 or 350,000, I think, and we'll work through all those details as time goes on.
And to have come to Mr. Allen, is anyone in line to get any of that reward? Is there?
We're going to continue to work through those details.
Okay, so in other words, you can't say. Anything else that you want to add? I was reading last night in an interview, you said, this is the first time in a case that you could recall that you had audio, video.
Mike doesn't trust
of the person you thought was responsible. Do you think Mr. Allen is the man on that bridge?
The judge signed a probable cause affidavit for the arrest of him. I can't wait to tell the story, but today's not the day.
When do you think you can tell that story?
We're going to let the courts decide.
In other words, let them decide when they can release that PC.
Well, and then even then, remember, even then, when the PC's released, due process is still a piece of all this puzzle. And this isn't over until it's over. And that's where the conviction of him.
You said when I interviewed the 5-year anniversary, when we finally charge someone, that's when the real work is going to begin. That basically you have to start all over, essentially?
That's in essence what they'll do. I can't think of a case in my lifetime in a long, long career that had that much information, that much data associated with one case. So the right thing to do is to go back to every one of them.
And you go back through all the tips you've gotten?
Exactly what they'll do.
Every single one since day one?
Yeah.
And maybe you already answered this. Do we know if you ever interviewed Mr. Allen in the past?
I'm not going to talk about Mr. Allen.
We've gotten several calls this week, since this broke, that, hey, what about the little girls in Flora? Are you still working on that case?
I wasn't going to say this today, and I've said it to a couple of networks, but when I took the long way here today, I stopped in Flora, and there's a gravel lot across from that house where those 4 little girls died, and I said to myself, I hope that one day we're doing the same thing for them. Still alive and well.
Anything else you want to add?
I'm tired.
You know, in every case, there's going to be people that are critical of the investigators, and I know a lot of people say, you know, he's a grandstander. Yeah, I don't think that there's a conspiracy either, at all. But you know, there are people that do. I'm not one of those people. But you know, we respect everybody's opinion as long as it's respectful. As long as we're all chilling. Thanks for being here, guys.
Blazing the steel.
See you tomorrow.
Bring the heat. Mix it non-stop. With the hottest DJ.
I'm your host, Joshua Dees.
Non-stop.
Catch you tomorrow. Thank you very much. Appreciate that, Susie Ocean.
Idiot.
Make sure to go comment. Let's turn it into a chat.